Carry away, clear the spot out like Timmy McVeigh.
Who are you?
Ink sent me. You got any more of those pages?
You're looking bad, buddy.
Come on, man. I'm dying here.
Okay. Damn it. Come on.
So how much you got? Like $6.73.
Go on over there and get your fix. Next time, don't bring no change. And don't be in there stealing my stuff either.
Minutes later.
A Little Misery, Part 1, Mama's Home, and Ms. Part 2, Mama's Gone, by Ink Aswad Black. Get your fix.
Our next guest is a passionate advocate for the less fortunate, vulnerable, and underprotected. He is a 2022 recipient of the In the Margins Award for his first novel and instant literary classic, A Little Misery, Mama's Home Part 1. A saga chronicling the lives of twin sisters, Karma and Destiny, who were raised in foster care and consequentially experienced a myriad of victimization and chaos, including rape, homicide, and incarceration. A Little Misery, Mama's Home Part 1 is based in this reality and provokes the reader's awareness of the wickedness endured by the precarious lives of the fragile, powerless, and destitute mandated into the system of foster care. He is clearly on a mission to evoke, educe, and enlighten public consciousness to the occurrence and effects of childhood trauma, violence, and dis-ease, therefore catalyzing the healing process of society. Please join me in welcoming first-generation hip-hop legend, spiritual leader, and prolific writer, Aswad.
I'm an award-winning author. I have 4 books published, and I have 2 more in the process of being published within the next 2-3 months. 47 years old. Muslim. I've been Muslim since I was 16, and I'm in the world of literacy. I'm more so about, just like I was when I was doing hip hop, grabbing a mic, dropping some jewels and bringing it to light. That which people try to cover up. And I feel like, if there's no benefit, then why say it? We only gonna live for a certain amount of time, so why waste your life lying and bragging about what you don't have or what you think you're going to have? You rather, try to educate, the masses, man, and do some good, put the world in a better order. We done started and we done put in so much confusion and we did so much evil. So now it's time for us to try to do something better, try to do some good with this time that Allah Ta'ala gave me. So that's a little bit about me. A Little Misery. This book here, it was a song first. I wrote the song maybe in, 97, 98, somewhere around there. So, I got an entrapment case by the feds. Of course, they're on my line because when you're out there trying to wake and shake people up, they're going to do whatever they got to do to try to take you down. We'll get into that a little later. But while I was sitting, by law's permission, I started to write because I was reading, a lot of my Islamic studies more so. But on my downtime, I'll see a book here and there. And some of them were good and most of them were trash. So, when I was locked in the shoe, I had read a couple books and they were trash. So I figured to myself, if they could write this garbage, then let me pick up this pen, which is the weapon of choice, and do what I can do. So I started off writing A Little Misery. So I said to myself, basically, that was a good story as far as, the rap. So let me try, put some more detail in it. And I just put myself to the test to see if I could write a book. So I started writing. And then when I started getting into the book, it was more like, because the way that I write is so vivid, it was more like it was taking me away from being in prison. It was taking me away from all the stress, all the nonsense that was around me. So I really got, deeply invested in writing. So much so when I got to finish the book, it was like 2 books. And I didn't know that because I was just, I'm writing. So when I went and I met to the brother who had published the book, so me and him started talking, he was like, man, why don't you, try to publish that book? So when I published the book, it ended up being two books, part 1 and part 2. And that book's about this little girl named Misery. Her name is Missy, but her aunt started to call her Misery after a certain amount of time. So what it is her mom is a twin. Her mother goes to jail because Misery's father, was beating on her. So she catches a domestic violence charge, manslaughter. She goes to jail for 7 years. So while she's up in the prison, her twin sister, whose name is Karma, Misery's mother's name is Destiny. So Karma is out taking care of the little girl. So she takes her to see her mother, every visit. They stay in touch because they're twins, She was doing good, letting her, see her mother taking her out there to the prison. But when things fell on hard times and money started to get low, Karma had to get a job, So she started working for this cartel, who she didn't even know was a cartel. She just knew it was the Castro family. They had a lot of property, big estate. So she started working as a nanny. And she lived on the premises in a little cottage on their land. So the cartel family has a daughter who's the same age as Missy. So they started to use the aunt. She was a nanny, so she was going around, doing the cleaning, the cooking, and things like this. But she was also tutoring the little girl who was a Castro, their daughter, and the little girl was playing with her niece. Long story short, the Castros needed a driver one night to make a delivery, and Nanny was the only one around. Karma, she was the only one around that could do this delivery. When she started to do these deliveries, she'd come back, she would get a lot of money. $80,000 one time, $100,000 the next time. But she started doing like this, and she started making this money, and she knew what was going on, but she played dumb like she didn't know what was going on. So slowly but surely, she started to dip and dab and started to find out what was going on, what she was delivering. She started tasting the packages, some heroin over here, a little bit of coke over here, and then she got hooked. By the time she started getting hooked on these drugs, her sister was being let out of jail from doing her 7-year run. So when her sister came home, she started to see like, damn, you got a black Benz, I got a black Benz. You got a house over here, you got me a house over there. And she's like, yeah, I'm your sister, I'm going to take care of you, I promise you this. But her sister never told her that she was working for this cartel or that she had a drug habit. So Karma, she gets little sticky fingers and she takes some drugs that the cartel had told her to deliver. And when she did that, she really just got low, got out of sight. Now, the cartel don't know that Karma got a sister named Destiny that just came home. But Destiny's Muslim now. When she went into jail, she wasn't Muslim, but when she came out, she was Muslim. So when the cartel out on the streets, combing the streets looking for Karma so they can find her, either to kill her or to get these drugs back, whatever they're going to do to her, they run to her sister. And her sister has on, the Islamic attire, but her face is not covered. So when they see her, one thing leads to the next, things unravel, and at the end of the road, Missy is named Misery, and she's with her aunt in another city, and good goes to bad, bad goes to worse, so on and so forth.
What's your inspiration for the characters? We all pull inspiration from somewhere.
Okay, so the inspiration for the character, as far as the little girl, Missy, a.k.a. Misery, that in the beginning when I wrote it, I was like, the song Tupac had called Brenda's Got a Baby, right? Mm-hmm. So when I started writing the song on a rap side, because, I'm definitely a Pac fan, 100%. Because he was dropping some jewels. Like, damn, when you listen to that song, man, it's like, damn, you know what I mean? So wasn't nobody dropping nothing on that magnitude back then. So I was like, okay, this is going to be Brenda's little cousin, Missy. So I wrote that song. So even in the book, it's like, that's her little cousin. Misery is Brenda's little cousin. Brenda had a baby, but Misery had something else going on. So that was the inspiration for her. Now, as far as what gave me the inspiration for all of the hardship that she went through in her life, that she goes through, I got all of that from the charts of the kids that I worked with in a mental health field. So I worked at, one was called Foundation of Behavioral Health. And this was like a mental hospital / juvenile detention center. So when you got 15, 14 kids on your unit, you gotta read these charts. You gotta get to know who your clients and your patients are. So you might have some things that are trigger words, you know, so you gotta know who these patients are. You gotta know how to deal with these kids. So in reading these charts, I mean, it was so depressing that what a mother or a father or uncles and aunties do to your loved ones, to their loved ones, man, like to the kids, what these kids done went through. So I put all of their lives inside the life of this one little girl. I just bottled it up and put it all inside of her as much as possible. So I would say a good 75% of what she goes through is realistic. It's reality. It's truth. Came straight out of the charts. And the other 25, you know, I just added here and there, you know, to keep the story moving on. As far as the twins, they just came in about, I would say some crazy females that my man P had introduced me to out here. One was all right, you know, level-headed, and then the other one was, you could see like the little reptile style, you know what I'm saying? So that's where that came from more so. So yeah. And then as far as the other characters, man, you know, they were just around the way people, you know, growing up in Pottstown, bro, selling drugs out there. You meet certain people and you get, even if they was drug heads, man, and, you know, crackheads or whatever the case is, they give you some jewels in life. You know what I'm saying? So I took a little bit of Chris Dunn and put him in one of the characters. You know what I'm saying? That's the craziness. I put the OG Selby, remember that? Dante cousin Selby, him, he's walk around, you know, town. I put, you know, a little bit of everybody from town that I had experiences with as far as me coming up in some of these characters. You know what I mean? And I also got some of me in some of those characters, like the guy they called Mr. Soldier, and even also the guy that's called Khalifa. You know, some of me and him, and the experiences and things like that.
Okay, word. That'll definitely spark up some interest, you know what I mean, to, you know, our hometown. And you know, by the way, I think you should mention, like, at least where the story is set at. And what time.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely takes place, you know, in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Maybe I'll say in the years of like 2004 or 5. It wasn't too far back, but I have it taking place out that way. But it doesn't last there long because, you know, she goes on a run and she goes to a spot where, you know, there's no hope for the hopeless, and she fits right in, you know, and ends up in Detroit, Michigan.
Give like a brief synopsis of her conflict.
Okay, some of the hardships and conflict where her name Misery really fits her like a jacket. She is, when she goes through just a gang of negligence, she goes through a lot of mental abuse, physical abuse. She goes through false friendships. I mean, she goes through people like, you know, they looking like they here for helping and they really not there for help at all. You know, it turns around and they put more than one knife in her back. She goes through a lot of connections with her Lord, because no matter what she goes through in her physical, her spiritual is always connected to Allah. Like she knows that, because her mother raised her and started to teach her about Islam, so she knows that, you know, there's a Lord of the worlds, and whatever she goes through, it's a hardship, and after that hardship, there will always become ease. So she stays connected to her Lord throughout the book. And she also has what her mother brought her was a little doll, and this little doll, her name is Company, right? So she been called this dog Company because she had this dog way before, you know, her aunt even called her Misery. She's always called that because, you know, her mother, when she was younger, she used to be like, you can't have no company. It's the only company you can have, because her mother didn't like, you know, a lot of people running in and out the house. You know how the hood is. You can't have all that. So she said, the only company you get is this dog. So now when she got older, it's like Misery loves Company, because Company, after her mother goes through something and is, in the story, something happens with her mother, but the Company is the only thing that she has to talk to at times. Most of the times, it's more her intimate companion that she whispers to, and that little dog helps her get through a lot of what she gets through. So yeah, she suffers a lot, you know. I mean, once you read it, you know, I'll tell you this. I had a lot of emails coming to me, man, you know, cussing me out about what happened to that little girl. And, hey, I ain't do it. Talk to the parents of them kids that was in my building because they did that to their children. I just brought it to light. You know, a lot of people don't want to bring this to light. They want to just, you know, sweep it under the rug because don't talk about sexual abuse. Don't talk about people doing this, that, and the third, and the family members. You know, we keep that under there. Grandma says don't ever bring that out. But no, we have to bring that out because if you don't bring that out, the problem will consist to go on. It will be persistent to go on. So we can't allow that. We have to have somewhere where somebody's going to bring it out and speak about it. Like the first people that I was going to go under, I won't say their names, but when I wrote the book and I went and sent them so they can publish it, they were like, no, don't write this. You know, this is too graphic. It won't be allowed in certain jails because of what is being spoke about. You know, so I took some of that advice. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel with my art, I'm always the one that's trying to go against the grain anyway. And I'm saying I'm going to be that one that's going to always slip through the little cracks. When they be like, you can't do this, I'm going to get there. You know what I'm saying? So I took some of the graphic details out in like a couple scenes, you know what I'm saying, like her birthday scene. But after that, I left everything the same. And, you know, Allah's the best of planners. They got in every jail I sent it to. I mean, female jails, male jails. You know, they got the award from the In the Margins company, who was a literacy award for a whole bunch of librarians got together. They started this company called In the Margins where they produce and they award authors that write books that have some sustenance, some benefit to them that will change the readers. You know what I'm saying? Like political things. They got things for people that do spiritual books, self-help books, therapeutic books, things like this. So it's all good.
Let's explore that a little bit. So people are like, was it hate mail or was it like people concerned about the content?
No, it was more so it was like, yo, I can't believe you let that happen to her. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no hate mail. It was just like disbelief mail. Because when you start to read it, you know, what I'm told from them and the ones that I interviewed, because I interviewed a couple people, I mean, like 4 or 5 people that I got, and I try to post them on the site once I get everything situated. But, you know, they're just like surprised because when they read the book, the little girl becomes like their daughter, you know what I'm saying? Because they so into her. You know what I mean? Because she's so adorable, bro. Like, who could do this? So they're always cheering her on. Why did her aunt do this? And what's going on with that? So it was more so not hate mail, but it was like disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Like more surprise, like, damn, that's effed up that people really do this to people. You know what I mean? And it brought a lot of them, like, you know, awareness to them, like, yo, like, this is crazy. Like, people really doing this to their kids. I mean, but
so
the reality is the reality.
I'm sorry, it's more like shock and awe than, like, you know what I mean, about it. Then.
Right. Yeah, I never got nothing yet from nobody saying, like, you know, on the hate side, like, shouldn't have did this, yada, yada, yada. I haven't got any of that yet, you know. And I don't have no triggers in the book. You know, a lot of people tell me you should put some trigger warnings in the book, you know, because how it is. But face the reality, man. Get ready. You know what I'm saying? Chew it up. If you don't like it, throw it up. But we're going to wipe the flies off your face, man, because y'all out here eating, and what y'all eating has no benefit. It has no nourishment. So them days is over. So when you open up an Aswad book, you're going to definitely remove the flies, because we're going to definitely try to give you some nourishment.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Now, controversy sells, though. Controversy, and, you know, even more so than selling, controversy expands. It expands. So if you want to reach more people, controversy is one of the best avenues to get it out there.
Definitely. Especially when you're doing it not for that. You know what I'm saying? You're just doing it because this is what you're doing. Now, you can have somebody that's going to be like, I'm going to write a controversial book. So, you know, because that plot will work also. But, you know, it's not really about the controversy. It's about, just like with my third book, America, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know, that one's about how police are they're not being held accountable for killing us off, like the black males, black women, Puerto Rican males, Puerto Rican women. It's like everything that's not white is getting murdered on camera and there's no accountability. So now this book drops and then they start to see the same thing that I'm writing about happening right on their channels. CNN, Corrupt News Network, and all these channels, they're starting to see it, but they're also starting to see where there's no accountability. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
all right, so
it is what it is.
since you brought that up, let's talk about that for a second. Like, all right, so you talked accountability, and we're talking about the police in America, current day America right now, right? I mean, it's not really worldwide. I heard. I mean, sidebar, like I ain't never really been nowhere. I ain't been out the country for real. You know what I mean? I ain't never explored nowhere. I'm not a historian. I do love the internet though, and when I see or hear something organic, I tend to believe it. So from what I'm hearing, like racism is not run amok all over the world. Like, maybe in Europe, like obviously in Europe, like some of that, the sports stuff I see from Europe is just insane compared to our racism. But like in other countries, like especially Africa, and you would think like Africa, like, you know what I mean? But that's just our point of view. But in Africa, they say they pay race very little mind. What's your thoughts on that?
From what I know, I can see this, man, and that's from, I got a lot of Muslim brothers that I meet from all around the world, right? So there's a lot of racism in, I can't say a lot, but you can see it, you can tell. Like, let's say, for instance, in Saudi Arabia, I mean, there's no racism there, because if you're black over there, they still treat you like you're a Muslim, but it's known racism, you know what I'm saying? In South Africa, there's racism because in South Africa, there's a lot of white people. A lot of people don't know that. In South Africa, there's a lot of white people over there. So they still have that racism over there. In Egypt, what my son has said now, it's not too much because in Egypt, it's like everything kind of starting to flow together. You know what I'm saying? Because Egypt is almost like a little America. There's Burger Kings, there's McDonald's, all this over there. So it's like a little America. So it's like, it's not too much. They only show their racism like that when you try to marry into the family. You know what I mean? They're just like, hold up, he's black, you're Egyptian. We're not having that. They do things like that.
I can dig that. But like, what kind of solutions do you present or do you offer for, like holding people accountable? If that is I don't know if that's the solution, to be honest with you. But if it is, let me hear about it.
I'll say this: in America, there's many solutions, but the number one solution is that there's a group of men, some of them used to be drug dealers and thugs and, hustlers and criminals, and then other ones are those that used to be police officers. So, there's a guy, Mr. Soldier, who runs all of that. And, Mr. Soldier is a real fair dude. He used to be like real deep into his, revolutionary type talk and things like this, but he's not prejudiced at all. He's for mankind and everything that's just. So he has that, and he calls his crew the ex-cops because he has more ex-cops on his team than he has, dudes that used to be criminals and things like this. So ex-cops stands for ex and out crooked officers patrolling the streets. So what they're all about is they're not anti-cop, they're anti-crooked cop. They're anti-cops that shoot little women, like they shot that grandmother on the West Coast like 70 times and stood on top of the car and emptied the last couple of 30 bullets. Were like, they're inside that. They're inside the kind of cops that put 60 rounds in the back of, what's the brother's name? He just passed away last week or 2 weeks ago. There's so many of them, and you just get confused because it happens so often. But they make them be held accountable for what they've done. So in the book, you will have the real names of certain police officers and women, policemen and women, and they're being held accountable the way that I think it should have been done when they did what they did to who were the victims, right? So some of them get shot, some of them get their heads cut off, things like this, but the righteous is going to uprise, and those that do evil are going to be held accountable. So all of that punishment is always for those who are like evil. They're using that badge, man, as a free way to just blow our heads off, man, and then they get a paid vacation. So they get tired of that. Like, it's going to be a time where people are going to get tired of, man, I just happen to be a victim. Oh, you killed my mom last week. Oh, you killed my little brother this week. Like, when is the killing going to stop? When somebody wants to step up and say, listen, all them dirty, crooked cops that y'all got, like, it's a purge going on now. Every time y'all kill somebody justly and not have accountability, somebody's going to come through and they going to handle that with you. Until the other cops that's doing it or have an idea that they should do it, they'll be like, oh, nah, we got to stop killing people like that for no reason. We got to go back to being public servants. We got to behave and do our job. You know what I mean? Because if you just keep letting people get over and there's no accountability, what? We just going to keep paying for these assassins. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying to anybody, go out and kill a cop that killed somebody. No. But I'm saying protect yourself by all means. And protect your family by all means. Because the rule of nature is eye for eye, right? So how are we going to let that go over what they say are their laws and the statutes in this country when they just do it how they want to do? And we're supposed to sit back and just let the courts handle it. And then we're sitting around marching with signs and hashtags and Black Lives Matter, which I don't support. But this is what happens. Like, when is it going to stop? So we're going to write this, and we're going to right all the wrongs, all the dirty crooked cops that just think they could just be murderers and terrorists and tyrannical servants, then there's going to be some accountability.
I can dig it.
We're also trying to idolatry to all of us, right? So the only real true way that people are going to really get back to being what's right, what's righteous, and what's just is they're going to have to get back to number one question with the number one answer, and that is, what was the reason that God created mankind? Now, when you get to that answer, right, to worship him, then they find out, how do we got to worship this Lord of the world? And if they find out the authentic way to worship him, not the parts that deviated, not the parts that made it up, not the parts that someone's grandmother said do, but they just stick to what was authentic, that has no deviation, no additions to it, everything is going to get back in order, because then you're under one umbrella and everybody has the same understanding and everybody's going to understand the web. It's all the same commands. They're going to still fight and argue things like that because the devil, Shaitan, is going to always do what he does. Shaitan is going to scream and he's going to follow you and he's going to plead and make you go follow him to the fire. This is what the distraction is. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's really losing sight of the fact that, okay, yeah, there's racism, there's rape, there's murder, there's blacks, there's whites, there's bloods, there's crips, there's all these different things going on the planet. But the number one is we were created for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? There's a purpose. We live and we die, but what's the purpose?
I can dig it.
And that's the research that people need to go find out. That's what they need to start really trying to dig into. What am I here for? I can't be here to be a lawyer and a doctor and a truck dealer and a trash man. It's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Good. And see, the thing is with us, and this is why when I start writing, because I was going to really just I ain't going to find, I was going I'm going to drop these little books right here. I ain't doing no writing no more. I ain't never want to be no author. You know what I'm saying? But then now I'm starting to look at the effect of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm start looking at what I can really do with the ink pen and where I can go with it as far as information, because information is number one key, right? So now let's say when we started getting books, we get to the word of literacy. It's like this, for instance, in music. Remember in the 90s, right? We was talking about this before when they was dropping conscious rap in the 90s, right? And then they came through, they had that secret meeting, and then they switched it up. So now the conscious rap went to the back burner, right? So I'm saying like this, in books, you have all these books right here right now. It's a lot of them. And they all look the same. If you look at them, I promise you, Google Black urban books, and you'll see almost the same damn covers. Shiny letters, chest, lips, dude with his shirt off, stacks of money and guns. I promise you. Google that joint on your own and check it out.
Nah, I already
and it's
know.
just like right, so it's just like how hip hop was. Right, exactly. So it's just like hip hop was, right? Everything was the same. The king, the rap, the gangster, everybody had a gun, everybody had a hole, everybody had money, everybody killed somebody, everybody went to jail. So now, in the literacy world, I'm just going to come with that same conscious information, with that same information that's going to help the people and give them, something to pay attention to. Like, damn, you know what? This is right. And then in all the books, it's going to have the evidence for everything that I'm speaking about. If you want to go look it up, they can look it up. I'm going to start putting the footnotes in the back of it so they can check it out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe Aswad that is America's got fluoride in the water so they can slowly kill you. No, Google right here at the bottom. It's going to tell you where to go. You don't got to believe that. And guess what? When he said that it was mercury put in the vaccines and it's how our kids got autism and things like this. No, I'm going to put it right at the bottom of the footnotes and you can look it up yourself. You know what I'm saying? So then you could be like, damn, this is like really real. I gotta stop eating this. I gotta stop drinking that. I gotta get my body together. I gotta really start paying attention because this is real. And a lot of us are already locked in prison. Women, men, we're already locked in prison. So the majority of the information, when it does come out, everybody buys books and they send them to the people in prison. So now if you're in prison and you're sitting in that cell and you finally get your book, you got some hood content to it, but at the same time, it's giving you, it's basically giving you a way that you can really change for the better. You know what I'm saying? And if you follow that, you'd be like, damn, I read this one book, yo, and I did this, so now I'm a little healthier, I'm taking this. I thought my mind was like this before, but now I'm thinking like this before, and I'm starting to see certain things that are really out there because I looked up and I Googled everything that was said, and it's right there. Then that's where the change is going to come. But don't we just keep talking and writing, and we, oh, so-and-so raped this one, and that one did that one, and I sold 500 kilos. Man, shut up. We did all of that. Cut out. So, you know, that's what I feel. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come with the pen and I'm going to stick it deep in the papers, man, and let the ink keep sinking. And hopefully, you know, it'll do what it do. And, you know, controversy, if it's going to be controversial, then it is what it is. But, man, I'm not scared. I'm saying, I know Allah Ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that He has created mankind and jinn to worship Him. And He also said, that every soul shall take death. So it is what it is at the end of the day. All right, bro. I appreciate you, man. I'll let you later.
All right, man. One.
All right, one.
Carry away, clear the spot out like Timmy McVeigh.
Who are you?
Ink sent me. You got any more of those pages?
You're looking bad, buddy.
Come on, man. I'm dying here.
Okay. Damn it. Come on.
So how much you got?
Like $6.73.
Go on over there and get your fix. Next time, don't bring no change. And don't be in there stealing my stuff either.
Minutes later.
A Little Misery, Part 1, Mama's Home, and Ms. Part 2, Mama's Gone, by Ink Aswad Black. Get your fix.